drops of the essence of terror, 5 drops of sinister sauce.
When the stirring's done, may I lick the spoon?
Of course, of course.
Hello and welcome. My name's Dean. I'm the Arts and Culture Coordinator here at Brimbank City Council. I'm going to prepare for you one of my favourite vegetarian dishes. It's a chickpea and potato Bengali creamy curry. And for those of you that have dedicated meat-eating friends, I think you'll find that they will love it. Some of my friends have really enjoyed this. If you're not sure where the Bengali region is, it's in the northeast of India, including Bangladesh, so it's a big region there. Because I'm creating this vegetarian dish, I thought that I might rename our kitchen for the day. I thought it could be either Dean's Diner or perhaps Dean's New Delhi. I'll leave that with you. So, the main ingredient of today, which is really the key thing that makes this dish so delicious, is ingredients called panch phoran, and in fact they're 5 different ingredients. And I'm just going to show you what these seeds are. We've got, down here we've got some fennel seeds, we've got fenugreek, we've got cumin, mustard seeds and black mustard seeds if you can do that, and nigella seeds. When we start the dish, we're going to need about 3 tablespoons of those. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mix these in. These are beautiful aromatic spices which when you start to cook this you'll really love it. So I'm just mixing all those in now. Okay. So I'm just going to mix these all through so they're a really good combination. And it's really that simple. And the flavours of these seeds are really going to come out when they're cooked into the pan. So we might actually get started. I'll just get my stove happening here. Just going to keep that on a low, medium heat. Just take some canola oil. Actually, the thing that I might just mention is that while I'm putting in this canola oil, one of the other ingredients of this is potatoes. And I'll just show you how to prepare those in a moment. But I'm just going to get started with this canola oil. Just cover the pan, the base of the pan with enough canola oil in there. Let that heat through. So I'm just going to let that heat up for a moment. I'll grab my stirring spoon. And once that, you can feel a bit of heat coming in through there. All right, so the oil's heated up enough now. So I'm just going to put in 3 of these, of the panch phoran. Spread that out so they're contained within all that oil. Now, just need to spread those out. You can see that, hopefully you can see that that's starting to sizzle a bit now. So you don't want to leave them too long, but you want them to sizzle and start foaming, and you can smell that fantastic aroma that's coming out of those seeds. So it's going to leave that to foam just a little bit more, but you don't want to burn them, so that's the important thing to do with this. So you leave those in for about 30 seconds while it starts to foam, and when you start to smell that great aroma coming out. I reckon that just might do. So then, to make sure it doesn't catch, you're then going to add tomatoes. 2 tins of diced tomatoes. And then make sure that the panch phoran seeds are mixed well and truly through with that tomato. I'll just turn that heat up just a little bit more. There we go. So that's mixed pretty well through now. And then there's some more spices to go in as well. So I'm just going to add in about a teaspoon of salt, but you know, use less if you're not wanting to use too much salt. Then the other thing we're going to put in is the cayenne pepper, and you can see this is going to be pretty spicy. But it's not too spicy, it's usually pretty good for most palates. So I'm going to put in about half a tablespoon of the cayenne pepper. That should do. And then the last thing to put in is about half a teaspoon or a heaped quarter teaspoon of turmeric. So that's starting to bubble away nicely there now. So I'm just going to turn that down, and then you just let that simmer for about 10 minutes. So it means that the panch phoran and the tomatoes and the other spices are mixing in really nicely and starting to develop a good flavour. So I did say about the potatoes. That's probably the first thing that you need to do actually with potatoes, with a meal, is to start the potatoes. We prepared some earlier, which I think I can find down here. So bite-sized potatoes. I like to put a bit of rosemary in them as well. I don't think that's typical of this dish, but rosemary just gives a bit of extra flavour. They'll take about 30 minutes to cook. After about 10 minutes, I like to turn them so they don't catch too much. But even if they do catch, that extra crunch in the potatoes is a really lovely flavour and texture. So I'm going to put those back, and then we just leave that to simmer for 10 minutes. Okay, so while that is just heating through nicely, it's probably a good time to put on the rice. I like to use the evaporation method, but whatever you choose to do. So that can just sit there. Once it's cooked, it can just sit there and it'll stay nice and warm for when you're about to serve up. I thought I might just mention about you're probably wondering about my apron here. While it's not Indian, it certainly is very much east of India. I bought this when I was travelling through Laos from a village that we stopped in. It's handmade by the local village people, and I thought, I might just wear it today because it's its first outing, in fact. So this has been going for about 10 minutes. So the very next step we do is very simple. Remember I said this is a vegetarian dish, so we've got 2 cups of vegetable stock. We're just going to pour that in. And again, mix that through. Some people put in sugar at this point, maybe a teaspoon of sugar. I guess it just contrasts with the nice aromatic flavours. I don't bother with that because I think the dish is just as good as it is. So the next step you need to do is we need to just turn this right up to get it to a boil. So once it starts to boil, then take it down to a simmer and then leave it to sit for about 15 to 20 minutes as well while it simmers. So we'll just get that to the boil. You can hear that sizzling around in there. It's tempting not to stir it. There we go. Now it's starting to boil. You just see some of the air bubbling through the surface. So we're going to turn this down, let it simmer. After about 15 minutes, you'll notice it kind of starts to glisten on the top. That means it's ready for the next step. So I'm just going to turn that down right now. If you've got a lid, you can cover that to make sure it goes through, but either way it's fine. So that's been simmering away there for about 15 to 20 minutes. By this stage, your rice should be ready. So that can just sit there, that'll stay nice and warm, as I mentioned earlier. I might just move on to the very next step, which is putting in the cream. Now, if you want to put in ordinary cream, that's fine. I like to put in coconut cream, partly because I find the flavour a bit more intense. It also means that this vegetarian dish becomes vegan, so you can cater for all tastes with this dish. So I'm just going to put that in. Get as much of that beautiful coconut cream out as possible. And then just stir that through and you'll see that it starts to take on a really rich colour. And you can smell the coconut coming out through that too, really fantastic. I'm starting to feel hungry. So I'm just going to let that sit there and simmer through. And you can just put that on a low heat. So while that's simmering away, and you only need to let that simmer for about 5 minutes, I'm going to cut up some of the coriander because we're getting very close to serving up. So I've already separated out some of the leaves. I might just do just a few more and then just chop that up. Chop it up as finely as you like. Doesn't matter how you do it because it's really about the flavour that we're going to get with the final serve. And that beautiful smell of coriander is coming up as well. So many great flavours in this dish. All right. So I think that's just about ready. All right, so the last bit are the ingredients. So we've roasted the potatoes earlier and we've got some chickpeas. You just need 1 tin of chickpeas. Put those in. And then I'm going to grab the potatoes out. We're going to add those in as well. And what we're going to do is just let these heat through. They don't need any more cooking, but you just want to make sure that the chickpeas particularly are heated through and the potatoes are all, with all the crunchy bits as well. Just put everything into the fry pan. And then we just make sure that that sauce is sitting, that curry sauce is sitting all the way around them. So it only takes about a minute or so for them to heat through. I just like to stir them and make sure that it's well and truly covered. The chickpea is a really great, because of its protein value, is a really great substitute for meat. Okay, so I think we're just about ready to serve this up there. I'm just going to let that sit for a little bit. So what we're going to do is I'll take a small bowl and we're going to serve it up. So the presentation of this is also part of the way the dish works. So we've got some steamed rice, we've got the curry, and once we put those in, we're going to cover that with some almond flakes and also some coriander. Okay, so take some rice and just put that in 1/2 of your bowl, like so. And then on the other side of your bowl, put in some of this delicious curry. And I like to just get a little bit of juice and just put that over the rice as well. And then to finish off, you take some of the coriander and just sprinkle that across the middle like that. So you've got these great contrast of colours there as well. Take a few almond flakes to whatever your taste. Put the almond flakes across that as well. And then that's it. If you want to make it even more spicy, what you can do is you can chop up some chili and put that across as well. To my taste, this is just spicy enough. So there you have it, the Bengali chickpea and potato creamy curry. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do.
6 drops of the essence of terror, 5 drops of sinister sauce.
When the stirring's done, may I lick the spoon?
Of course, ha ha, of course.